Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode of Git Good at OpenRCT2 Tycoon 2. In this episode I will show you how to make an Rmc coaster. Now Rmc stands for Rocky Mountain Construction and they are known for refurbishing wooden coasters. They usually take off the entire wooden track but leave some of the supports in place and then replace the wooden track with a steel track. And sometimes they also build completely new coasters. Again, usually with wooden supports. Often it's a mix of wooden and steel supports, and then also again with the steel track on top. Sometimes they also use a wooden topper track, they call it, but it usually sort of looks the same. Anyway, before we continue, I should tell you that there is someone who's currently working on implementing actual Rmc track in the game, but it will be a while before that is completed. So in this episode I will show you how to make an Rmc the old-fashioned way. Now before I show you how to do it, there are some elements that you will typically see in most of the newer Rmcs at least. Typically there's a steep lift hill, not always, there's even one with a launched lift hill. But yeah, usually there's a steep lift hill. Then there's quite often a near vertical drop, or sometimes it's like 80 degrees. But in Rollercoaster Tycoon 2 that's really best represented with a vertical drop. Throughout the track you will see lots of airtime hills. You can see I made a double down here and another double down here. Also throughout the track you will see lots of crazy banking. Usually you can see some weird bank track here. I like to make the bank the hills. That gives some nice effect that you often see on Rmcs. Quite often they also have outward banked curves, but that's not possible in Rollercoaster Tycoon 2, sadly. So we'll have to make do with the elements that we have. As for inversions, these coasters always, quite often they have inversion, not all of them, but most of them do. What you could do with these coasters is, for example, quite a lot of them have corkscrews, or you could make a barrel roll, or one of these coasters actually has a dive loop. I made an Immelmann here for this Rmc. There's no existing Rmc yet with an Immelmann, but these guys keep innovating, so I think it's only a matter of time before they add one. As for vehicles, there's actually a custom Rmc train in the game. Here in this park I don't use custom vehicles, so here I just used the wooden coaster train, the articulated one. I think it works quite well, except that it doesn't handle all inversions very well. But I made the 0G roll here in such a way that it looks like it's actually inverting here. I will also show you later on in the video how to do one of these. Now if you're doing one of these trains, corkscrews should probably be avoided, because the trains go through them in a really weird way. Anyway, I think it's time I show you how to get started with one of these coasters. Okay, now first off, there's many different track types that you can use to make this coaster look believable. My favorite track to use is simply the B&M Twister track, just because it can always do all elements. You could decide to do parts of the track with this coaster type, but really that's up to you. I've seen people use junior coaster track or looping coaster track. Really everything's quite a lot of different track types are possible. Now here we have the station. What you could do is make a launched lift hill, or launch it with a chain lift, because that's also what I believe that's what a lightning rod does. But usually you can just start with a steep hill. Then we go downwards. Like I just said, you could just start with a vertical drop. Let's go with a shallow hill here. Really, you can do anything you want in this layout, but your layout should focus on getting lots of air time, and yeah, try to put some weird banking in the track as well. Now I will just continue building a track, a very simple track, and then go back to the station. Okay, here I'm also going to build one of those 0G rolls that I just showed you. Especially when you're using the articulated wooden coaster trains, this is a good way to simulate an inversion. So to make one of these, we go upwards, and we make another one of these sloped, completely banked sections. We stay banked and we go horizontal, and here we switch to the other side. We stay banked and then we go downwards. Alright, then we go back to normal again. Okay, let's finish the drop here. Now we could make another hill here, just add some weird banking on top. Now I will just make a very simple track back to the station here. Normally I would add a brake run here, but this is just for demonstration purposes anyway. Actually, I believe I didn't do this right. I think we need one more upwards like this. Alright. Okay, I think this is the way I was supposed to do it. Now what we will do here is in the reverse direction I will make a barrel roll. Let's disable clearance checks. Alright. Then here I will. So here you can see the original yellow track. I put this green barrel roll on top. I will remove these end pieces of the green track, like so. I will also do the same on the other side. And here in the middle I will actually remove the yellow pieces. Alright, this might look a little bit rough, but when there's wooden track under it later, it will look more like it's continuous. Okay, let's give the coaster a test. We should switch to the articulated rollercoaster trains. Now let's give the coaster a nice color scheme. These tracks can really have any color. What I usually do is I make the bottom part of this track brown, and then let's choose orange for the other track. But yeah, for the other track you can really choose any color. And now here it will look sort of like this train is actually inverting. I copied this trick from Alex, who is a member on NE and on my Discord as well. I think it looks quite good when the coaster is going fast. Okay, now that we have our layout, it doesn't really look like an RMC yet, and to do that we need to add the wooden supports under it. Now under the lift hill you can make a steel structure if you want, but for this tutorial I will just go with a simple wooden structure. So what I will do is I will just build a wooden track under here, and I will just closely follow the original track. Now obviously the wooden coaster track cannot go vertical, so to continue building here I will just copy this track piece and then we'll just continue building here. Let's make it a little bit higher. Now these shallow transitions from steep to horizontal, they can also be quite tricky because the wooden coaster doesn't have these. But usually it looks okay to just closely follow it. Yeah, and with the tile inspector you can make pieces a little bit higher or lower if that makes it look better, like this. Now at the parts where the track is low, I will just lower the floor a bit. Of course now it doesn't look very natural, but when you make your own you should make it look more natural. Give the ground a reason to be lower here. Alright, now I will just follow the layout as closely as possible. Alright, let's give the wooden track a color. I will just color the same as the brown that I used for the middle of the track here. And now we are not done yet. Now we should raise all of the wooden track by 1 unit. Now this can take quite a while. I recommend to tick this checkbox, apply changes to entire track piece, because that's especially useful here in these curves. Because then it immediately makes the entire curve a little bit higher. Anyway, for all these track pieces I will now make them 1 higher, and this will take a little while, but I'll fast forward it. Alright, the structure is now mostly done. Now this part here, at the inversion, it might be a better idea to just remove the track here and replace it with normal wooden supports. Now for these inversions, what you'll probably want to do is make some sort of custom supports. What you usually see is that they put these steel bars. You could use these wooden post fences for it. Something like that. You could even angle them if you like, so they follow the track more closely. Actually it seems to be clipping through the track a little bit from some angles, so yeah, you'll have to be a little bit careful with that. Well, you can make it look something like this, and then you would just need to connect these to some more wooden supports. I don't know, something like this might work. But yeah, you'll have to play with that yourself to get something that you like. This is just a really quick example, so probably I would spend some more time on this to make this actually look right. But yeah, this is probably something you should do if you make inversions. Not just for these kinds of inversions, not just for this rule that I made, but also for any other inversions you have on your coaster. Now, one element that you often see on RMCs, but which is not really recreatable in Rollercoaster Tycoon 2 is stalls. They often have sections where the car is just going upside down for a while, In Rollercoaster Tycoon 2, these sections typically look quite awkward. When you put two barrel rolls in reverse direction, let me quickly take two of them. So we have a barrel roll to the left, we follow it up with a barrel roll to the right. Yeah, this transition here just looks really jarring. There's not really a good way to do this. Now you could also try it from the limb launched roller coasters. They have an inline twist. This one probably looks a little bit better, but this is also a little bit jarring. So whenever you have a stall, I just advise doing a full roll, even though it might not be completely accurate if you're doing a recreation. But in my opinion, this looks better than one of those awkward transitions you get by making it roll back in the direction where it came from. But yeah, that's just my opinion. It just looks much better in Rollercoaster Tycoon 2 if you make it a full roll. Anyway, yeah, like I said, with Rmc coasters you can really use a lot of different elements. They've made quite a lot of these coasters. We will see a lot more in the future, and they really like to innovate. So really go crazy with new elements that haven't been seen on any real RMCs before, but because before you know it, they might actually build one on a new coaster. Anyway, that was it for this episode. I hope it's useful for you. I hope you learned a trick or two. So yeah, really go crazy with these layouts. Don't overdo it, but also don't be afraid to try out new stuff. Alright, hope you liked it, and I'll see you again in the next video. See you later.